Nobody does Christmas quite like London, and if your goal is to feel like you've been punched in the face with festive cheer, keep watching. In this video, I'll be sharing 8 must-do holiday activities for those visiting London, from where to find all the best lights in Christmas markets, to festive-themed bars, treats, and attractions. Now hit that cheesy intro. Hi, it's Christina from HappyToWonder.com. This channel is all about practical tips for traveling in Europe and beyond, so be sure to hit subscribe and stick around until the end for a copy of a London Christmas map that shows you all the locations covered in this video. But before we faceplant into all the Christmas magic, let's start with some important tips for surviving Christmas in London. Because although it is magical, it's also incredibly hectic. Tip number 1 is to book any experiences or restaurants well in advance. Sadly, Christmas in London has no space for spontaneity, and many of the most festive experiences can get booked out weeks in advance, so be sure to plan ahead. Tip number 2 is to visit at off-peak times whenever possible. Weekends in central London can be pure chaos, with countless visitors rolling into town to see the lights, do their Christmas shopping, and enjoy the vibes with thousands of their new best friends. This means crowds, queues, and crying if you don't plan properly. The difference between a weeknight and weekend is shocking, so if you're able to plan around peak periods, do it. Lastly, it's worth noting that public transport does not run on Christmas Day, so plan accordingly. Okay, now let's get to the good stuff. Here are 8 must-dos when you visit London for Christmas. Number 1 is admire all the amazing lighting displays and decorations. You really don't have to look hard for Christmas spirit in London. Stroll into Central and you'll be pummeled with festive cheer, from a dazzling sea of lights along the main shopping streets to delightful storefront displays. All around the main shopping strip of Oxford Street, you'll find a variety of iconic light installations, including the glittering angels on Regent Street, the creative displays on Carnaby Street, the famous blue arches on South Molton Street, the glittery installations at Covent Garden, and of course the extravagant storefronts and lights on Old Bond Street and New Bond Street. Wander more around Mayfair and you'll also discover some of London's most famous festive facades, like the Advent calendar at Fortnum and Mason, the epic display at Annabelle's, and the gorgeous DECOR at Burlington Arcade and the Royal Arcade. Let me know in the comments which display is your favorite. Now, the easiest way to enjoy these lights up close, if you don't mind paying, is an open-top bus tour. I know, it's the shamelessly touristy option, but it's also the least stressful because you don't need to bother navigating or hurdling through crowds, so you can pretty much just zone out and enjoy all the pretty lights. A much cheaper version would be to hop on one of the famous double-decker buses that navigate central London and try to snag a seat at the very front. I'd recommend starting at the first stop to maximize your chances. The number 12 bus from Oxford Circus is a good bet. And if you're looking to escape the chaos of central London's Christmas decor, then you'll be pleased to know that there are many other areas outside of the ultra-busy core that go wild with holiday spirit. The most notable being Chelsea and Belgravia, where glittering lights and extravagant storefronts await. Of course, another Christmas must-do in London is visit some of the city's Christmas markets. While London's Christmas market scene is different to what you'd find in Central Europe, there's still quite a few markets sprinkled around town which are worth a visit. For me, the appeal of London's Christmas markets isn't shopping. With a few exceptions, most of these markets sell a lot of standard, mass-produced goods for inflated prices. But I really do like them for their atmosphere, and can definitely recommend going for a stroll and grabbing a drink to get in a festive mood. Just be sure to avoid them at peak times because they get outrageously busy. The crown jewel of London's Christmas market scene is no doubt Winter Wonderland in Hyde Park. This massive funfair meets market offers a mix of amusement park rides, carnival games, a beautiful Bavarian village, ice rink, and charming wooden Christmas market chalets. Of course, this extravagance has its price. Winter Wonderland is one of the few Christmas markets in London to charge an admission fee, with notoriously high prices awaiting on the inside for food, drinks, rides, and games. Nonetheless, it's a staple of the London Christmas calendar and well worth a visit at least once to see what the hype is all about. For minimal tiers, however, I'd recommend booking well in advance, visiting during an off-peak period, and pre-purchasing game and ride tokens online when you buy your ticket, because when you spend more than £25, then your entry is free. In terms of backdrops though, you really can't beat Christmas by the River, an aptly named Christmas market event along the Thames, between the iconic London Bridge and the bridge everyone thinks is London Bridge. Here, you'll find a variety of food and gift stalls, along with a few covered seating areas to get warm. This market also somewhat spills into Hayes Galleria, which is also gorgeously decorated for the festive season. But speaking of iconic locations, one of London's most famous squares is also home to a Christmas market of its own. Set in front of the famous National Gallery, the Trafalgar Square Christmas Market is a small market with a handful of stalls and a seating area to enjoy your festive food and drink. The centerpiece is a tree gifted each year by Norway, where carolers sing every evening. While there's not a ton to see here, the atmosphere is really lovely in the early evening, so stopping for a quick mulled wine is definitely recommended. Close by in Leicester Square, you'll find another Christmas market run by the same organizers, with similar vendors but a more immersive vibe thanks to its enclosed layout with string lights hanging from the trees above. Here, you'll find more options for food and drink, as well as a handful of gift vendors as well. This one does get very, very busy, so be sure to visit early to avoid the crowds. A bit more spread out is the South Bank Centre Winter Festival, which is another Thameside market with vendors and activities sprinkled between the London Eye and Waterloo Bridge. Besides some electrifying light displays and an alpine curling pop-up, there's several nice spots to cozy up with a drink, and even igloos you can rent. This market is fairly small in terms of stalls, but the atmosphere, if you manage to snag a covered seat, is pretty magical. And at the newly reopened Battersea Power Station, yet another Christmassy market awaits. The centerpiece of this London Christmas market is definitely the Glide ice skating rink, but there's also a handful of funfair games and rides, as well as a festive food market on the Coaling Jetty. A little farther afield is the Kingston Christmas Market, which takes place in the historic Kingston Market Square. While small, it's a great spot to grab a bite, and there's also the cute Alpine Village at the All Saints Church nearby to peruse as well. Besides these main events, there's also several smaller Christmas markets that take place for a few days here and there, like the luxurious Mayfair Christmas Market, complete with its own snow machine and gourmet food offerings, the Chelsea Physic Garden Christmas Fair, and smaller pop-ups like the Festive Flea Vintage and Makers Market. The best way to keep track of these would be to visit sites like Time Out London or Secret London, which share news on the latest events. Of course, most of London's more famous markets will also be decked out in Christmas decor, so while they're not exactly proper Christmas markets, I'd still add them to a festive London itinerary. Some famous spots that are perfectly festive this time of year include the ultra-popular Borough Market, Greenwich Market, and if you're looking for something a bit more unique, Mercado Mayfair, which is a food hall housed in a former church, which offers plenty of festive flair. Our next London holiday must-do is visiting the city's famous department stores. London is home to some of the biggest and best-known department stores in the world, with many of them fully decked out with festive displays. Usually stealing the show every year is Harrods, an iconic London institution whose exterior is bejeweled with over 12,000 bulbs. This year, they've even raised the stakes with an incredible gingerbread theme sponsored by Dior. If you can brave the crowds, the interior is also amazing, with its festive food hall and Christmas shop a more accessible alternative to the endless stream of designer names. There's of course also Liberty, famed for its Tudor Revival design, which has its own Christmas shop during the festive season that is filled with every kind of ornament you can imagine. And there's also a charming Lego miniature you need to see to believe. Another department store that goes all out is Selfridges, which has a dazzling Christmas shop on the top floor and a new theme for its windows and interiors every year, much like fellow department store John Lewis, which has multiple locations scattered around the city. Now, another staple of the London holiday calendar is ice skating. Throughout the city, pop-up ice rinks offer a chance for locals and visitors alike to strap on some skates and try their best not to die. There are many options to choose from, but they can book up quickly, so be sure to reserve a spot in advance. Some of the most popular seasonal rinks include the Queen's House in Greenwich, the Winter Wonderland ice rink in Hyde Park, Glide at Battersea Power Station, the Somerset House ice rink, and others in Canary Wharf, Skylight Tobacco Dock, Westfield, and Hampton Court Palace. Failing these pop-ups, there are also skating rinks at Alexandra Palace and Queen's, which are open year-round. Of course, after majestically gliding those calories away, the next step is to taste test a bunch of festive treats. London knows how to celebrate, and as soon as November comes, the city is hit with a wave of festive food and drink specials everywhere you go. And if you're looking for an especially luxurious treat, many hotels and restaurants across London also put on a special festive afternoon tea, The perfect excuse to enjoy a bunch of tiny treats under the guise of cultural exploration. Overwhelmed? Be sure to visit the full written version of this guide for a list of recommendations. Besides indulgent eats, another thing that London does spectacularly well is coziness, which is why you should also make sure to visit a festively decorated restaurant or bar. Walk around town and you'll see restaurants and bars of all cuisines and budgets studded with baubles, garlands, and an obnoxious amount of lights. Admittedly, some places take it much farther than others, but some especially known spots include Miracle at Henrietta and Daphne's in Chelsea. There are also multiple spots around the city where you can rent your own cozy igloo, or if you're looking for something more low-key, simply choose a classic old-style pub with a roaring fire for all the most wonderful Christmas vibes. The Churchill Arms is famed for its Christmas display, with over 80 trees hung from its exterior walls. Besides eating, drinking, and drooling over beautiful displays, another fun London Christmas activity is going to see a festive show or concert. London is famed for its cultural offerings, from shows on the West End to concerts from pretty much every big artist in the world. But come Christmas, the cultural calendar in the city is packed to the brim with special Christmas concerts, Christmas movie experiences, and of course, pantomimes, a form of fun, lighthearted musical comedy theater that is especially popular during the holidays. Lastly, you can experience London's top attractions decked out for Christmas. There's no shortage of amazing attractions to visit in London, but the festive season is a great time to see them, with far fewer visitors than the peak summer season and many fun Christmassy touches sprinkled throughout. Some of the most famous seasonal specials include Hogwarts in the Snow, which allows you to tour Harry Potter sets and props with festive flair, and the famous Christmas at Kew, which turns London's epic Kew Gardens into an incredible light trail every winter. But don't worry, even regular London attractions commit pretty hard to the holiday theme. From the Tower of London, where we were greeted with Henry VIII and his wives dressed up as Christmas trees, to Cutty Sark, which has its own special unique Christmas tree, sort of. Even the London Postal Museum and Transport Museum had a few festive surprises up their sleeve. So rest assured, no matter where you go in London, Christmas is all around. Thanks for watching, and to access that map I talked about, just visit this link right here. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time. Bye!